This is DC, powered by people and ideas, where the community comes together, voices are heard, and decisions are shaped.
So I want to start by saying, welcome home.
Connecting you to what matters and to each other.
How you doing? You know, what's the tea?
I'm Lorenzo Hall, and this is the DC Beat. It is good to see you. Welcome to the DC Beat. I'm Lorenzo Hall. So there is a big problem in our city, not getting a lot of attention right now. I'm talking about opioid overdoses. Now, I do have to warn you, the video you're about to see is tough to watch. It is some of our neighbors in crisis. This right here is Starburst Plaza in Northeast DC, near Hechinger Mall late last week. This is right off 8th Street and Benning Road. This has been a hot spot for years, and not much has changed. Several sources tell me so far this summer, police, along with fire and EMS, are responding every single day, sometimes multiple times a day, to suspected overdoses in this area. It is so bad here, the DC Department of Behavioral Health has a mobile clinic you see right there in place. Police sources tell me at the moment they're all out of Narcan, the medication used to reverse an opioid-related drug overdose. Also, starting today and through the weekend, the DC Police Department has declared this a drug-free zone, making it easier to arrest those suspected of possessing or distributing drugs. Now, about a month ago, just a block away from Starburst Plaza along the 8th Street corridor, police got calls about multiple unconscious people. They say 8 people overdosed. 7 were treated, but the 8th person was found dead. It is still not clear what they overdosed on or if they all knew each other. Now, I'm especially concerned because DC saw a significant increase in non-fatal overdose cases last year. More than 6,100 according to data from the Chief Medical Examiner's Office. Now, thankfully, the number of deadly overdose cases is dropping from a peak of 516 deaths in 2023 to 345 in 2024. 232 last year and trending lower so far this year. But still, far too many people are impacted by all of this. So what is the city dealing with right now? What's being done to keep this from getting worse? Let's do a beat check with Ward 5 Council member Zachary Parker. All right, Zach, so you are clearly aware of the city's opioid overdose crisis, if you will. Particularly, let's start with Starburst Plaza and what we see happening there. I'm thinking of this intersection. It's supposed to be a park. You have families walking through there, young kids, and yet you're seeing people who are overdosing every day. Give me your take on what we see happening there and in the city right now.
It is a challenge, and it has been a challenge for some time, decades even. I will say it's important to contextualize the progress that we've made and understanding that we're dealing with addiction and people's varying levels of illness, and it's going to take time. Since 2022, where the district saw the highest level of opioid overdoses and engagement, where we were the second in the country leading in overdose deaths. We have brought that down significantly through a number of strategies. For that area in particular, we have been, through the coordination of my office, engaging in outreach. We've placed a bathroom there, trying to get more people in care and into sustainable life patterns so that they can make better decisions for themselves and their future. And so, but it's going to take time. What I will say, even in this year's budget, we made significant investments via the Opioid Abatement Fund for more long-term sustainable pathways for individuals that are in need of care.
Yeah. What do you say to folks who will look at this plaza and they will say, you know, this has been a problem for so long? And I understand that we're dealing with addiction and getting folks help, but in this particular area, how do you mitigate the problem there to not have it centralized in this particular location?
Yeah, I understand the frustration, frankly. And we are working with the Department of Behavioral Health to do routine outreach. But outreach is just one component. It's about ongoing care. And one thing that we're working with the agency on is peer specialists and sustained support for individuals that are suffering from addiction. And this year's investments through the Opioid Abatement Fund was the highest that we've seen in recent years, nearly $1 million going to care and outreach for individuals there at Hechinger Mall, but throughout the district. So more is needed. I get the frustration, but we are making progress, albeit slowly.
Yeah, so we talk about resources that are available from a city government perspective. But I'm also thinking of the people that you see there and their relatives and folks who may not know, what to do, how to step in. What can we do as the community to support people when we see them in these sorts of situations?
It's tough. I think
Yeah.
one is showing love and care and support. But ultimately, in many of these instances, it has to be the individual's decision to seek care. I
Mm,
will say, from a personal perspective, I have a childhood friend who's going through a very similar crisis where his own brother has succumbed to addiction,
mm.
and no amount of money and care and love can make the decision to seek care for them. And so it is a very precarious situation. Residents should know that we have stood up not one, but two stabilization centers. In fact, more than I think roughly 20% of the individuals seeking care through that stabilization center is coming from Ward 5. So we know that there is a need, especially in communities in Wards 5, 7, and 8. We are making the investments, but it is certainly going to take time. And ultimately, it is up to the individual to seek the care that they need.
Yeah. So what more needs to be done? And from your view about what you're seeing, we're talking about funding, different resources. What's that next step that you believe will put this over the finish line? And I use that term very loosely.
Yeah, I think that peer specialist support, what the research tells us, what we're learning from other cities, is that individuals who themselves have overcome addiction are the most powerful and effective representatives to convince individuals to seek care. DBH is working with a national certification arm to license and to provide certification to individuals to do this level of outreach.
Mhm.
That coupled with the investment that we're making over time will mean more individuals will seek care, and ideally that care will lead to sustained progress over time.
Yeah. Do you think that the absence of the Safeway there, the CVS, do you think that is playing a role at all in what we're seeing there at Starburst Plaza?
It's certainly contributing to the feeling that some neighbors likely um, are feeling
Yeah.
that the community is not making the progress that they would want. And
Mhm.
again, I share the frustration. What I would say is largely contributing to these factors are unaddressed mental health issues,
Mhm.
a worsening economy where individuals are falling on hard times, and the lack of sustained care and support. Some of those areas we're making progress, but in terms of ensuring that we're meeting people's basic needs, I think as a city, we have more work to do there.
Okay. Zachary Parker, I appreciate it. Thank you for your time, for being part of this conversation. Anything you want to add to this dialogue as well that perhaps I missed out on?
I will say for neighbors in all parts of Ward 5, but certainly surrounding Hechinger Mall and Starburst Plaza, this is an area that my team is hyper focused on. In fact, we just had a town hall meeting there about a week and a half ago. We are securing investments. We fought hard to secure wins for this community as part of the commander's deal to ensure that that community sees the promise, just like other communities. And there are decades long issues that are coming to the fore by way of addiction, by way of violence, and what have you. And I just appreciate neighbors' commitment and patience as we work to build healthy communities all across Ward 5, but also in this surrounding area.
Okay. We appreciate you. We'll keep this
Thank you.
conversation going. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, a lot of our neighbors are sounding off about another set of elections in D.C., the D.C. Advisory Neighborhood Commission, or ANC elections. So ANCs are not paid, but they serve two-year terms and represent local neighborhoods. Nominating petitions to get on the ballot are available now. They have to be turned in by next week, August 5th. Now, there's an effort to get more LGBTQIA representation in neighborhood leadership. So Stephen McCarty, ANC and president of the Capitol Stonewall Democrats, along with Rini Sampath, former candidate for D.C. mayor, are helping lead the initiative Queering ANCs. Stephen and Rini are at the table with me tonight. Good to have you at the table.
It's great to be here.
Okay,
Thanks for having us.
so you both are taking on, I guess this is an ambitious project with the deadline approaching next week, or initiative, I should say. So Stephen, let's start with you. Talk to me about Queering ANCs and why this push now.
Yeah, so Queering ANCs was started by Capitol Stonewall Democrats, and as you may know, there are 345 ANC seats all across DC in 8 wards. And historically, ANC seats have gone vacant or uncontested, which really doesn't help our cause when it comes to working at the hyper-local neighborhood level to support neighbors and make sure that the work of the government really hits every single resident in every single ward. And so we started querying ANCs because not enough people know about the role. Not enough folks have ever launched a campaign before. And so the whole goal is to make it easy and accessible. Anybody should be able to run if they have the passion or love for their neighbors in their neighborhood. And it shouldn't be about who asks you or who you know. And so we created this free resource and program, including technology and support and training to help diversify our ANCs and make sure that less seats go unelected.
I don't think people realize that ANCs do, it's not paid, but they do have a lot of power and a lot of influence.
They do. And it's funny because if you go on Twitter, some people will say, oh, ANCs don't really matter. And then you've got another tribe that say, oh, ANCs have way too much power. Effective advisory neighborhood commissioners really learn the ropes about local government. How do we practice zoning? How do we practice business licensing? And you actually can have a lot of effective power if you use it well and you use it right. And so that's also part of the program, is we don't want to just fill seats. We want to fill seats with good commissioners who are going to go to bat when we need to focus on street safety, when we need to focus on traffic safety, when we're focusing on fixing the basics. That starts at the ANC
that sounds
level.
so familiar. Where have I heard that before?
Always on message.
So, Rena, you are playing a role in this as well.
Yes.
I mean, you made a run for DC mayor, so you know all about this machine and how this all works. Why take on this mission?
Absolutely. I wanted to do this. One, Stevie is a personal friend of mine, and he's a great leader of our queer community in DC. But also, it's something that I saw firsthand while I was running. I remember talking to young people who said that it meant so much to see somebody who looked like them, who came from the same background, running for office. And so I was able to do that through my own race. But I also remember that one of the criticisms I received is that I lacked local governing experience. And so immediately when I got out of the race, I thought to myself, well, how do you build a pipeline of strong Democrats who know how to govern, who know how to make a difference? ANCs, it's that hyperlocal level that Stevie was talking about, and you can garner the experience now. So one day when you do make that run for council or mayor, you can come out on top. And so the way that I see it is that this platform, which lets you track the number of signatures you've garnered for your petitions, it lets you track everything from events that you want to put on. Stevie's done a phenomenal job. We're giving this to people free of charge to help them run for office, help them train, and I think that's going to one day lead to a better, stronger city. And so I'm playing my part with digital, with recruiting candidates, and I know Stevie's got some numbers today. I think you mentioned 41 candidates.
Yep.
41.
Yes, correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you say to people? I can hear the conversations now. They'll say, why does it matter if that my ANC is queer or identifies as LGBTQIA? Why is that important?
Well, DC has the highest LGBTQ plus population in the entire country. And even if you look at ANC's makeup now, we're not at parity with representation. And that elected representation is so important, especially at a time where we have vast federal overreach and we need more safe queer spaces, more queer leaders that are going to, like Rini said, really show us how do we do this, how do we build together, and how do we stand strong in the face of adversity and the oncoming attacks from the federal government.
So how does an ANC do that? Like what difference would an ANC make in that sort of role? This question is for both of you in terms of what you see that person doing to make a difference in that regard.
One thing I know was a big topic during the mayoral race was housing, and so that obviously impacts, as Stevie mentioned, ANCs, it's other local positions like at-large seats, even our state senators, things like that, and ANCs are able to advocate for zoning laws. And I know there's several fantastic ANCs in DC who have come out of the recent YIMBY movement, Yes in My Backyard movement, to promote better housing practices and just make things more affordable for DC residents. And so I think this is an immediate example of how you can get into this elected office that is pretty low stakes in terms of actually running for it. It's 25
Not anymore,
signatures.
not with you guys. It's not even low stakes anymore.
That's true. We just did raise the stakes.
Low stakes because it doesn't cost any money to get on the ballot.
$0 filing fee, 25 signatures to get on the ballot. In contrast, it's $2,000 to run for mayor, $2,500 to run for mayor. So I think in that way, we want to lower the barrier to entry so that more people do run. And then once you are able to make that immediate impact on zoning or licensing, or I mean, in my neighborhood, we had issues with sidewalks. I know I complained about this during my campaign.
They better be fixed by now.
That's right. Janice Lewis George, calling her up. But yeah, no, these are the things that I think affect everyday quality of life. And so for us to put some really strong queer candidates in those offices, it's going to just allow for diversity of perspective at the end of the day, because the more diversity of perspective that we do have, we're going to be able to see changes that we're not even thinking about. Our trans neighbors, our non-binary residents, maybe there are challenges that they are facing where they can offer policy improvements and perspectives. So,
And to the finer point is, I can think of two direct examples. Business licensing with bars. There have been instances in which we needed, there was an LGBTQ bar coming to a neighborhood, and neighbors maybe misunderstood the intent, or they were advocating against it. And so having queer leaders in positions of power to help make sure that we can continue building queer spaces like our queer bars is really important. And then to piggyback off of the housing story, we directly impact zoning and the number of affordable units that are put on the market in our neighborhoods. And when you think about especially our LGBTQ youth, they face higher rates of homelessness than any other marginalized group in DC. And if we line up the cards right and train these commissioners well, we can be the folks who help bring about more, low barrier shelters, more housing for our LGBTQ homeless community.
For someone watching right now and they're listening to this conversation and, maybe they're engaged in their community, they're active, and they're wondering what sort of time commitment this entails. Is it up to the person who's running? Like, how does that work in terms of how much you're going to have to devote to this position?
Stevie is an ANC now, so he is official. So
I'm actually wrapping up my second term as a commissioner in Shaw, and I also just announced my re-election. So I'm on the ballot and running myself through the program. But it really is what you make it. Obviously, you don't have to chair your entire commission like I chose to do, and I'm grateful that my group of commissioners gave me that confidence to lead, ANC 2G and Shaw. But if you're a busy parent and you just care about sidewalks and making sure your children and your family can bike safely down the street, there are one-issue commissioners, and I don't think that's a problem at all.
Okay.
And it can be a couple hours a week, or if you get adventurous or excited, sometimes big projects come up, and they may take a little bit more of your time. But the good thing is, everyone has their own single-member district, but we do function as cohesive commissions.
Okay.
So I have a vice chair, a secretary, a treasurer for my commission. And so when things get tough and you need a little help, there are resources. And this program, we're going in phases. So right now, we're just helping people get on the ballot. The next phase is going to be helping identify those seats where nobody got on the ballot and helping get write-in folks on the ballot.
Gotcha.
And then when we get to vacancies, we want to track vacancies and help fill those vacancies. But more importantly, we want to be that connective tissue that not only gets people elected, but supports them when they're elected. And so Queering ANCs will be a resource for sitting commissioners as well once we get our cohort elected this November.
Okay, and where do people go if they're interested, Rini?
QueeringANCs.org.
That's simple. Thank you both so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lorenzo. Thanks for having us.
All right, let me also mention really quickly, the calls to boycott food delivery at DoorDash are still growing louder. The company is backing a bill that city leaders say would take away DC's right to govern itself, the DC Taxing Authority Review Act. So this would give Congress 60 days to approve or reject every tax change or fee passed by the DC Council. This comes after the council implemented a 20-cent delivery fee. DoorDash objects. DoorDash sent a new letter to the D.C. Council today asking why city leaders didn't hold a public hearing on this matter and accused D.C. leaders of not being transparent. We'll keep following that one here. All right, time now for We the People of D.C. You know, one of the things I love most about the show is introducing you to people, our neighbors you should know, like Cedric Moore, who is not letting the setbacks in life set him back. He's using his experiences and incredible gift to tell the D.C. area story. Cedric is with me tonight. Cedric, good to have you at the table.
What's up, man? I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Man, talk about talent and a gift. You elevated our DC Beat sets tonight. This is good. Man, this is really good.
Yeah,
all
thank
of
you
it.
so much. I appreciate you for having me.
I want to say you got my attention with the Minnesota Avenue mural because I remember being a kid. That mural's always been there, and I was over there not too long ago, and I was like, "Dang, this mural is still there, still intact." And you were part of this group, I guess, what, 100 artists?
Yes.
Working to restore and reimagine some of these murals in DC's Ward 7 and 8. So, what was your contribution to this new mural off Minnesota Avenue?
So Capitol Hill Boys Club, they curated the Anacostia Mural Fest back in May. And so what they did, as you just mentioned, they took 100 artists from all over the DC area, and they put us in Ward 7 and 8 to restore a lot of the murals that were already there or add new ones. And so to your point, the one that was on Minnesota Avenue and Benton Road, that's a very historic wall. That's been there since either the late 80s or early 90s, so for decades. And so I had the privilege of doing Malcolm X.
Yeah, and I know that mural art, that's been one of your big goals. So when you got the call up to do that, I mean, what are you thinking?
To be honest, man, that was probably my first big time mural, like in the district. So I was nervous, and probably my third or fourth one doing professionally ever. So I was like, okay, I gotta come here, I gotta show up. Not only that, but I shared the wall with a lot of other talented artists. So I was, I really wanted to be able to hold my own out there, and which I did. So it was a fun time, man. It was a great experience, and I'm just happy that I could contribute to DC in such a cool way.
People watching may go, wait, that was your first big time project. Looking at the talent that you have right here, you, for the last 2 years, I guess, you've been honing your skills, trying to get better at it, and this is what you're producing.
This is what I'm producing. I'm blessed for sure, to say the least. But yeah, man, for the last 2 years, I've been able just to lock in and really perfect my gift of art. I used to draw a lot as a kid, but I took about almost 2-decade break from doing art. And
That's a break.
That's a super break, right? And so I just got back into it recently, and so when I started back doing art, I started back just drawing, and I said, you know what, let me see if I could, am I just as effective using other mediums, acrylic, oil paint, spray paint, so that's where we are now.
So why the break?
Man, so I was a big time perfectionist as a kid, and right around 12 years old, when I was in 6th grade, I told myself I wasn't doing it anymore because I used to get so frustrated when I couldn't get a face to look a certain way, because I specialize in portraits. That's always been my thing, the human face. And so if something was lopsided or if I couldn't get the likeness together, I said, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. So at that age anyway, kids, they're starting to go outside and play sports, play basketball. I'm outside with my friends after school, and that's what I wanted to do. I wasn't trying to be in the house drawing anymore. So that's why I took a break, man. And for almost 20 years, I just didn't have the passion for it until recently, to the last 3 or 4 years when I left my cybersecurity job.
So you left your cybersecurity job. You were done with that? So what happened?
I'm done with it for good, man. I left in 2022 because I've always had a desire to be a storyteller, right? Whether it was through film, now art. So I wanted to leave to pursue that. And once I left to pursue film, it wasn't really working out quite how I wanted it to at the time.
Is that the perfectionist talking again?
It may just be the perfectionist talking again. And so it wasn't working out how I wanted it to at the time. And some people very close to me whose opinion that I value, they told me that I should try art again, which I did. And from there, the sky has been the limit.
So take me back to that moment. You decide to pick up the pencil. I'm going to give this a try again.
Right.
I mean, what are you drawing at that moment? What is that experience like where you go, wait, I got this?
So I find an image, probably Pinterest, just a random image, and I sit at the dining room table, man. I grab the pencil. I'm like, let me see if I still got it. And man, as I'm drawing, I'm like, whoa, I still got it. Like, I haven't done this since I was 12. And at the time, I may have been like 29, going on 30 at the time. Like, it's been almost 20 years, man. I haven't done this, and I still got it. Put it out on social media. It got an amazing response. And from there, like, people were speaking all of these things into me that I never saw for myself. And this is just a regular black and white sketch. We're not talking any full renderings, any paint, anything with color. I wasn't at that point yet. And they're like, man, I could see you traveling all over the world doing art. I could see your work in museums. I'm like, y'all see this for me?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
right. And like, here we are now, right? And so it was like those keywords got to me. And I said, you know, I'm going to give art everything that I have. Let me see how far I can take it. And I have not looked back since.
Yeah. So what do we have here? To explain this work here, what was the inspiration behind this series?
Yeah, so as mentioned before, I'm a portrait artist, and I'll start with the black and white ones on the side first. So this is from a series called Portrait Studies, where I like to just take everyday people. For one, my inspiration from art just comes from seeing everyday people. I believe we all have a story, and so I like to capture the intricacies and the beauty of humanity in portraits. And so the black and white concept just came from the desire for me wanting to perfect how well I can render faces, right? And I just felt like the touch of light that you see, the reflective light that you see on the side of the faces, added a really cool effect to it. So it was something that just stuck, and it's a series that I plan to keep going. This painting right here in the middle, this is actually a portrait of my grandfather. And right now he's about 85 years old, and so the name of this one is actually called Wisdom, right? And so if anybody that's lived any time on this amount of time on this earth, you know, as you get older, you get more and more wisdom, and that's something that I wanted to be able to capture in this portrait right here, through the wrinkles, his eyes, everything. That, you know, the mood on his face is, to me, it just speaks volumes. So yeah, that's a little bit about what these portraits right here mean.
So why art?
Man, let me tell you, I feel like being an artist is one of the greatest privileges ever. I feel like it's a way for us to be able to record history, you know, everything that's going on today. People could look at our work from 100 years from now, and they'll be able to get a glimpse as to what it is that we were going through today in 2026. And for me, I think it's just a really, really cool way to be able to impact people and to be able to tell their stories also. Yeah,
and you use this to tell your stories. I'm thinking of your collaboration with the NFL and the Commanders. Tell us the story behind that.
Man, so that was like probably one of the top tier experiences I'd ever had. So right when I had did that, my father had just passed away from.
So sorry.
Thank you, man. He had just passed away from. He was battling cancer, but he had passed away from pneumonia. And so I remember for the 2 years while he was sick, going to the cancer treatments with him and just watching how he battled and fought. And when he finally passed, the Commanders had reached out. This was before they knew that my father had passed, to do a painting for their Crucial Catch initiative. And so the NFL's Crucial Catch initiative is bringing awareness to all of these different cancers. So I was like, man, this is divine alignment, right?
Yeah.
And so from there, I was like, you know what, I got to do it. And my dad had just passed maybe about 2 weeks before that. So I was like, I'm talking to my mom, like, Mom, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. She was like, no, you got to do it. So I had to pull it together, you know what I'm saying, and use all the strength that I had to get it done. And it was probably one of my most detailed, powerful pieces yet. It was of Jaden Daniels. And so, man, the Commanders, they loved it. The organization loved it. Hopefully I'll be back there this season to be able to create more really cool artwork.
So what's next? What are you doing now? I'm sure you have a lot. You're doing this full time.
Yeah, I am, man. So in the near future, I recently collaborated with a local wine company called 94 Imperial. And so this is their new wine. It's called Lumiere Reserve. It is a dry wine, and it will be releasing within the next couple weeks or so. And so I had the task of creating this artwork, this label for them, using my artwork to pretty much pay homage to where we're from, Prince George's County, Maryland. That's where the owners of the wine company are from also. We actually grew up together, really good friends. And I pretty much wanted to highlight the confidence and, you know, just the success of the area that we come from. And the National Harbor, that's a landmark. You know, that's when you cross Woodrow Wilson Bridge and you see the National Harbor, you know that you're home.
We're grateful that you picked that pencil back up.
Hey,
Imagine if you didn't.
Yeah, I know, right?
You know?
It'd probably be somewhere doing the job I don't like.
Follow your dreams, follow your heart. That's the big lesson. Man of many talents.
My man, thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you. Yep.
All right, let's end on an even higher note. And DC Department of Parks and Rec program helping teens find their voice. These are the summer superstars. My good friend Les Foster and I spent some time with students in the Deanwood Radio Broadcast Youth Journalism program. They're spending part of their summer sharpening their skills. Way to go. So that does it for the DC Beat this week. Thank you for giving me some of your time. I will see you back here next Wednesday.